Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast on this beautiful Thursday evening here in Deerfield Beach, Florida. We'd like to welcome you all to the Adams Brothers podcast. We're live streaming live on Facebook. We have with us this evening, we have Mr. Chad Grecsek. He is the Director of Sustainable Management. He is the Director at the City of Deerfield Beach, Director of Sustainable Management. And he is joining us here this evening to talk about some of the things we have here, some of the things that the programs and the things that we provide here, not the programs, but some of the services. There we go. That they provide to the city of Deerfield Beach and all of our residents. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Grecsek to the Adams Brothers podcast. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, guys. Great to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I just wish it didn't take so long.
It's all in good timing, though.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And you're always welcome to come back anytime.
That's right. Ready. Whenever you feel like you have some information that the public needs to know, feel free to just hit us up and we'll bring you right on.
Right.
It's great to know.
Pronounce your name correct? Is it
close? Grecsek.
Grecsek. Okay, Grecsek. Okay, Mr. Grecsek, Chad Grecsek. Okay, Mr. Grecsek. Go ahead and tell our viewers a little bit about you. How long you've been with the city of Deerfield Beach? What are some of your job duties, and how many employees do you oversee in sustainable management?
Sure, absolutely. So the end of November, it'll be 16 years with the city.
It's a long time.
Yeah. And I'm one of the few directors that actually work with you guys, with both of you and your dad.
Yes, you did.
So we go way back. I'm actually broadcasting out of your dad's old office, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So so as far as what I oversee on a day-to-day, most of it is obviously the solid waste collection program. We're one of the last remaining municipally run programs in Broward County, so we're very proud of that. I also oversee the city's fleet management program. So we oversee about 250 pieces of rolling stock of various city equipment, all the way from garbage trucks to pickup trucks to sweepers to golf carts to mules, all that stuff. And then I also oversee the city's coastal and sustainability programs. And as far as employees, we've got about 65 employees, and our budget is approximately $25 million.
25 million. Okay.
Good to know.
All right.
Yep.
Now, I heard you just mention about sweepers, and that was really going to be one of my just random questions. How many street sweepers do we have here in Deerfield?
We have two.
How many trucks? How many vehicles?
We have two trucks.
Two trucks. And how often do they sweep around the city? And do they rotate the areas that they sweep in, or they just start on one side of the city and work their way east west or west east? How do they do that?
So I don't know their schedule because that function's actually under Priscilla in Environmental Services. Okay. But I do believe they have a route that they run, and that route varies by day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's right. They are under Priscilla. They was under Priscilla when we worked there.
You are absolutely right.
Well, they were in Environmental Services when we were there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were talking off camera a little while ago, and we were talking about the bulk pickups that we get here in Deerfield Beach. Right now, we currently get 4 bulk pickups a month, which is 1 every week. And I believe in our area over here, we get 1 bulk pickup every Thursday. And really, we have a A+ service here.
Yes, we do.
In Deerfield Beach.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you guys do an outstanding job over there. You can put stuff out there, man. And I know personally, I put stuff out there that other cities and they would charge you a nice sum of money to come by and pick it up. And Deerfield, you guys are magnificent. And one of the questions I wanted to ask about the bulk pickup, if I can find here, it says, how much money would the Deerfield Beach taxpayers save annually if the city only picked up bulk once a month like in almost all other Broward County cities versus the current once a week pickup? And just answer it the best you can.
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate the compliment. Obviously, I'm only as good as the people that work for me, and we have a phenomenal group of drivers that every day are dedicated out there to do exactly what you said they do. So I appreciate that, and I will make sure that they hear that.
Yes.
As far as the cost savings, bulk is a little challenging from the perspective of it varies, right? It depends on how much people put out week to week. But absolutely, there would be a cost savings. I'd have to dig into that a little bit more to find a specific number. It would be more like an average or an estimate because, again, it does vary because of how much people put out. Obviously in the summertime when there's a lot of vegetation, the bulk is heavier. So it'd be seasonal as well. But that's definitely something I could look into further. But I know the residents here are very happy with their bulk service, as you mentioned, and
Yes.
I'm not sure I'd be the one to put that out there to recommend that because I think the residents have really grown accustomed to it,
Yes.
and I'm not sure the savings would be enough to offset that impact.
Right.
And that was a question that was inserted into our comment section.
Right.
So that's not the vision that we see, because I'm satisfied with the level of service that we get right now. And I believe in areas like in our area, I believe it is my belief that we need these regular pickups to keep our area clean.
Right.
And without those weekly pickups, I believe it will become more blighted. So I'm in favor of keeping it just like it is right
And
now.
not only that, you would start having more illegal dumping.
Right.
They'll start dumping behind buildings, and then there's the city have to go out and pick this stuff up, and then there's a cost. You have manpower, then you have to go and pay for that stuff to be dumped and everything. So there's a cost to it. So having those regular once a week pickup, it has its benefits. And again, you guys do an outstanding job. I don't think I've never heard anybody complain about it. So
Me either.
kudos to you.
Thank you.
Tell the city manager the same thing. You guys, outstanding A+ service that you guys give us here in Deerfield Beach, and we appreciate what you do here.
And the late Gene Robb used to always say that Deerfield Beach had the Cadillac service for its garbage and trash pickup, solid waste. So that is so true.
All right, you have a question for Chad?
No, okay, yes. I was just gonna go on. Chad, will I know the city still picks up recycling as far as our conversation off. What came about how the city wanted to dump the recycling program after investing so many years into it?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's a very complex topic. It's a lot more complex than people would realize. But really, what happened was a couple things. Number one, China, who was taking all of the material basically from the United States and other locations, essentially said we don't want it anymore unless it meets very high quality standards. And obviously, the material that we were sending was not of high quality. So that abruptly stopped the demand, so to speak, of where that material was going. And that kind of coincided with our contract for recycling processing coming up for renewal. And so basically what happened was the whole paradigm shifted. Instead of making revenue for recyclables, getting revenue for it, we now went to having to pay for it. And not just pay a little bit, pay triple the amount we would pay to throw it out as garbage. And we tried this educational campaign. Rebecca's team actually won an award for it to try to educate the community on contamination and what to put in the recycling bin and what not to. And ultimately, it didn't really catch. We were still at a contamination rate of about 50%. Of all the materials that we were collecting was considered garbage, basically. So we were paying a premium to take this material to a facility where essentially it was going to be tossed as garbage. And financially, that just didn't make a lot of sense for us. Environmentally, it didn't make a lot of sense for us because, the residents were being deceived from a, perceptive of that they're out there mixing and spreading the stuff up, and it ultimately was just going as garbage. And so, the city made the very difficult decision, and we were one of the first to do it. Many cities have followed our suit because of this, to suspend our curbside recycling program. So, that program is still suspended. We do still pick the material up. So there's still a cost. However, instead of paying $140 per ton to recycle the material, we're disposing it as garbage at $45 a ton. So the savings is in the hundreds of thousands by doing that. Ultimately, I would love to see a recycling program come back to the city, but it needs to be a sustainable program. It needs to be a viable program that makes sense financially for the city and is environmentally beneficial. And right now we're doing a compost pilot program. You may have heard about it.
Yes.
We got a grant from the Department of Agriculture to basically implement a pilot program in the city. So we've got 100 residents that have a bucket that we've given them. They're going to put their compost or their food scraps in that bucket. We're going to collect it, and then we're going to weigh it, and then use that material to make compost, and see, exactly what that means for us. What's the reduction in cost? What's the reduction in tonnage? And maybe that's something we can implement citywide down the road. Recycling right now is just not sustainable. And I think, unfortunately, the curtain's been lifted, so to speak, on that whole myth of recycling. I think a lot of people have gotten really educated on it, which is great. But right now, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for us to re-implement that program. Now, we do still have our drop-off centers, and those folks that want to take the time and effort to bring that material to those facilities, we applaud that, and we want you to continue to do that. So, and we're hoping to implement some sort of reward system for those individuals that do that in the near future.
Right. And speaking of drop-off centers, you have containers out there at sustainable. That's a tongue twister.
Or the central campus.
Or the central station there over there for tires and white metal, correct?
We do. The tires, the tires are a little tricky because they're expensive for us to dispose of. So right. We may have pulled that container back, but there is opportunities to bring the metal. There is opportunities to bring some bulk material if you're a city resident, and certainly go to our website, and that'll provide you all the updates on what we accept, the hours of the drop-off center, and everything else. But yeah, Joe, you guys probably remember Joe.
I talk to Joe all the time.
Joe is such an unbelievable ambassador for our department and our city, and he'd be happy to talk to you if you go out there and see him when he's working at the drop-off center. So,
and speaking of Joe, he oversees the paper shredding and the recycling and all of that stuff out there. He's still in the same location when you come in.
He's still in the drop-off center. Unfortunately, the shred program, we had to modify that slightly because our shred truck basically was so old that it wasn't functional anymore. So what we do is we hold quarterly shred events throughout the city, but we are looking at possibly bringing back some sort of mobile shredding option to the drop-off center for next fiscal year. So that's something we hope to bring back, because we know the residents like it. We know it's popular. So we're looking at that.
I was just going to say, please, that's a good thing, a service that you provide, because I don't want to sit there with a little paper shredder, 12 inches high, and just run, all of my papers through there. It takes too long. I'd rather just dump them in a big container and just watch you all dump it, and just shred them all in one little quick go. And I don't have to worry about my personal information being compromised. So that's really a good service that you all provide for the taxpayers. And
one thing you said earlier, Chad, that whenever you bring something out there, you have to be a Deerfield Beach resident, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And you have to show your ID, correct?
Yeah, Joe won't let you get through without it.
Well, that's good. I don't
That's
blame
right.
you. We don't want people from other cities coming here dropping off their waste to us and
Yeah.
everything. So let's move on to the garbage cans here. I right now we currently have, I believe it's a 90-gallon. I think that's about around
65,
90
65. So right now we have a 65-gallon garbage cart and a
Uh-huh.
65-gallon recycling cart for most people
Right.
in
Right.
the city. There's a lot of residents that requested the smaller 32s.
Right.
So right now, as you guys discussed earlier, we provide twice a week garbage service with the 65, and then we're still picking up that recycling container once a week to ensure that we, collect that volume.
Right. Okay. And you, if you have that 65-gallon container, you will be able to keep it, right? Because I know one time they accidentally they dropped me off a 65-gallon container, and then they had a real small one. I think it was only like maybe 10 gallons, a real little small skinny one, and the lid was missing off of it. So I called in and I said, hey, the lid is missing off of this little container. I don't know how I ended up with two, but you guys can come by and pick it up. And they came by and they took both of them. They took the big 65 and then they took the small one and they gave me a smaller container.
Huh.
So I wasn't too happy about that, but I made one phone call and they did bring it back and they apologized for it. And that was going to be my question. So you will have a choice to keep that 65-gallon container or a choice to get a smaller one?
So I actually have an update for you guys, hot off the press. You guys are the first ones to hear about it.
Okay.
So we are going to be rolling out citywide 95-gallon carts.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yep. And that will replace the 65-gallon garbage cart and the 65-gallon recycling cart. Right. So if you do the math, and we're going to have all sorts of literature and education and materials going out on this. I actually met with Rebecca earlier to go through that information. But if you look at a volume perspective, you're actually going to have more volume when we switch to the 95. So the 95-gallon carts are much bigger, and they're going to be rolled out starting January. That's our plan.
Okay.
And I heard you talk about that during the budget hearings. I didn't know if it was going to get approved, but I heard you touch on that during the budget hearings. I'm like, wow, that's very nice.
Yeah, and what we'll see, ultimately, we think that's going to lead to a cost savings in the city because, again, we provide twice a week garbage collection. So, that first day of the week will be heavier, but we anticipate that second day will be significantly lighter from a set out perspective. And we believe, based on what we're tracking right now, we're at about a 25% reduction. So, right, 25% less people put out their carts on that second day because they just don't have the material in there, right? They're not going to put their cart out if it's not full. So when we roll out the 95s, we suspect that number to go up even more.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you the one we currently have now, the 65-gallon, man, that can hold a lot of garbage.
Yeah, the 95 can hold even more.
Yes, and I'm happy to have that. So when they came and took that and gave me a smaller one, I was like, this is not going to work for me. I need that big 65 back. So that's good to hear that you're gonna have you all will be passing out these 95-gallon containers. And
so Chad, do you all pick up, like, for the public to know, the viewers, do y'all pick up the dead animals? Do your department, sustainable management, pick up dead animals?
I mean, so our sanitation division will go out and if it's in a public roadway or a public area, our staff will go out and pick up a dead animal and take care of that. Yep.
Could you give them the number to call, because sometimes we get numbers
all the time.
Where they call us and they report dead animals in the roadway, and then we'll call it in. But for our viewers that's watching out there, could you give them a contact number to call in if they see a dead cat or a dead dog or any animal?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me look into the number here because it's one of those things where you don't know your own number.
I think it's probably, what is it, 4391 or 4390?
I believe it is. I
have the number in my phone. I know.
Yeah.
We'll put it.
It's a general number for everybody to call for garbage, and then we also have an email system, where people can email any issues that they have, because the phones can get busy on occasion here. So the email address, and let me just pull it up to make sure I spell it right here. So it's solid waste. So it's solid SOLIDWASTE SRCSRV@DeerfieldBeach.com, and I'll read that again. So it's solid waste CSRV@DeerfieldBeach.com.
Okay, solid waste.
Residents can get a hold of us. That I actually oversee that email as well, so I could see whether or not the issues are getting resolved or not.
Thank you, Rebecca, for putting it. Rebecca pinned it into
the
comment section. Yes. So anyone needs that information that Chad just gave us, it's in the comment sections of the live right now.
Right.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Also, one other question that I have that we've gotten some calls on before, and it's the sand that's been on the corner of 4th Street and MLK.
Yep.
And we get a lot of calls on that from, now the Natura area, and mostly from District 2. What that is District 2. Yep. But any plans on that being moved in
given out to residents?
Given out to the residents, or could they put it out on when the boom trucks come by and pick up the trash? Can they fill in the holes? I mean, put some of the sand in there to kind of fill in that little pothole that they scoop out there when they take the trash out?
Yeah, so a little history on that sand. So that sand actually was from a project up in Delray Beach, where they were doing a construction project right there on the beach, and they reached out to us and they said, "Hey, do you want some free sand?" And we said absolutely. Our intention was to put it on the beach. However, what happened was, we just did this joint nourishment with the city of Boca Raton, and it was actually cheaper to pump the sand to our beach than it would be to truck this sand over, believe it or not, because this sand actually has to be screened, and then it has to be loaded on a truck, and then it has to be dumped. So Our intention was to use it for the beach, but ultimately it's too expensive. So right now what we're doing is we're looking to see if there's any internal beneficial use of that sand. And then if there's not, I do believe that there could be an opportunity to make that sand available to the public.
Yeah. Right. Because I can use something to put around my trees.
All right.
Yeah.
And could it also be used for like when the hurricanes come, they give out sandbags? Can you also use that sand for sandbags as well?
Absolutely. And that, that's part of the other reason why we haven't gotten rid of it yet. We wanted to sort of get through this hurricane season, partially for that exact reason.
Yes.
Well, that's very good. That's very good information to know right there. Those are all the questions that I had on my. Is there anything else that you wanted to?
I have.
Oh, you have something?
Yes. Chad, and a lot of times people putting their garbage and trash out. Can you at least tell the viewing audience what are some of the do's and the don'ts of the trash and garbage collection every week? Because sometimes I know I see the claw truck pickup and it's on the drains, and just tell our viewing audience what are some of the do's and the don'ts of both operations.
Yeah, absolutely. From a bulk perspective, and from a garbage cart collection, number one is to make sure you're putting the material and the cart away from anything that could be damaged, right? Anybody that's seen our claw truck, these guys are it's amazing what they can do with that arm, but they're not perfect. So when the pile is too close to something, it could result in some damage. So, again, try to put that material several feet away from anything that could be damaged. As Wayne indicated, keep it away from any drains, because, if we get rain, that material is going to go right there and block that, and potentially could cause flooding in the neighborhood. Don't put your cart out too early. Don't set it out too late. Don't overflow your cart, because again, those that have seen our program work, we have automated collection. So that arm comes out and flips the can. If that can is overflowed, then all that material is just basically going to get flipped all over the road. And that's going to create a mess. And we really don't have the manpower to come out and do that and clean up after every stop. Obviously, if that happens, we're going to do it. But that's one of the issues that we see a lot. And sometimes that cart won't be tipped because it was over full. So hopefully, again, that issue will get resolved with this 95-gallon cart rollout. But those are really the main issues that we see. For the most part, guys, I mean, the residents in the city, they follow the rules, and we've had some bulk issues in the past, but those have gotten much better. We still do have illegal dumping, and the best way to combat illegal dumping is if you see something, say something. Because you are in the neighborhood, you are the ones that are there. You're invested. You see somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Get information, get pictures, get their license plate, and either contact my office or contact BSO, because these individuals aren't doing it in the middle of the day. They're doing it in hours that they know people aren't around. But if you guys are out there looking and seeing something that just doesn't look right, try to jot down information and report it.
And what are some of the items, Chad, that you can't put out for trash collection or either garbage?
Yeah, so I mean, there, C&D, construction demolition debris, like wood and tiles and those types of things. There is a charge for that. As you guys alluded to earlier, we pretty much pick up everything unless it's over a certain amount. And then, the other issue that we have with bulk is we got a lot of landscapers that come throughout the city, and they do a huge trimming and they just leave it and expect the city to pick it up. Well, by city ordinance, they're required to take that material with them, as are the contractors. So any contractor that does work on your home, they can't just leave that material out the curb. They need to bring that with them. So that's something else that is very important, because ultimately, if we can't, if everybody does this, right, guys, everybody puts all this stuff out, we'll never get done. We'll never get finished, and the city will look like a mess. So, we need the residents to understand why, we want them to kind of police those things so that, we can make sure that the city looks good.
Absolutely. And when those people, when they're working, doing roof work, like you say, that whoever's doing the roof work, that contractor that they hired, they're responsible to take that stuff away, or they should have a roll off. That they should have, that dump all of that stuff in, into the roll off. And you do provide roll offs here for the residents of Deerfield Beach, correct?
Absolutely, we do. Yep.
Right.
And what sizes are those? Because I knew that was the question that what sizes do you offer residents, like maybe doing construction work or roofing work? What are the sizes of the roll-off?
Really a 20-yarder is our standard size. We do have some 30-yarders, but what happens with those is they get overloaded and they get heavy, and it becomes a safety issue. So we really try to stick to the 20-yarders because that's really something that our drivers are able to manage in a safe way.
Okay. Well, you have any more questions, Wayne? Because I think that's all I have for Chad. He's provided an analysis of something. Is there anything else that you would like?
I would like for you to, if you can. I mean, I would like for you to just tell us, your staff. Tell us who they are and what do they oversee, and because I think that people want to know. I think your staff does a good job, and I like, from going forward, when we talk to someone, I like to have the person acknowledge the staff that's there. And I know I met some of them when me and my dad was out there.
You don't have to call names because you might miss someone, but
we just acknowledge some of the ones that you introduced me and my dad to when we were out there.
I mean, really, the guys that are in the front lines are our supervisors and our crew leaders and our driver collectors. And as Darryl mentioned, we got a lot of those guys, but some of our crew leaders and supervisors: Chris Smith, Galen Adderley, Marvin Forrest, Handy. We got so many guys. It's not a one-person operation. Everybody pulls in the same direction. And again, as I said at the onset, I can't do any of this without them and their help. And the other thing, while we're talking about that, is we would, if you guys know anybody and you get it out in your audience, that we're looking for drivers. We're looking for drivers and we're looking for mechanics. And it's a great opportunity for the right person. We'd love to have somebody born and raised in Deerfield, there's obviously benefits to that. They know the area, they know the routes, they know all that. So, I mean, please pass the word that we have positions open. It's a great career, as you guys know, right? As former city employees.
Yes,
absolutely.
And
it was awesome for us.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'd love that. It's a win-win because we do have a lot of guys on our staff that are from the city. They have that invested interest on making sure that they do the job that extra special way. And I think it's important that we continue to do that and show the community that we have opportunities here for them.
And that's good. I'm glad you said that, Chad. I'm thanks for that, because we definitely will put the information out there that, again, everyone listening, the city of Deerfield Beach is looking for driver collectors and mechanics.
Yep. Go to the city of Deerfield Beach website and go on job opportunities, I believe, and click on that, and then you'll see all the jobs that's available. And if you want to go up and fill out the application in person, you can go up to Human Resources. I believe they have a box downstairs in the lobby that you could go and pick up an application. Correct. You can fill that out online right from your phone. But
the pay is good.
The pay is good, and I believe you have to have a Class B CDL with air brakes, correct?
You have to have a CDL, yes. So that is something that but for the mechanics, we will provide some training towards that. The driver collectors, we do expect you to be able to come in and have that already. But for the mechanics, we would be offering that as training as an incentive for sure.
I started at the city when I was 19 years old. That was a long time ago. Yeah. So it is a good career, and I had an awesome time working there. And I'm quite sure anyone coming there looking for a job right now will enjoy their time working there too. I worked with a lot of good people, me and Daryl, when we were there.
Sure did, and it was a pleasure working with you as well. You were always a real laid back, under the radar guy, manager. So, and that's the way you have to be sometimes, do your job and stay up under the radar. And you do an excellent job out there, man, and keep up the good work. We always tell the city manager when we see him and run into him out in public, we always tell him that, you have a magnificent staff, administrative staff, and you guys do a really good job. We never hear anything bad about you guys, and that's a good thing. So kudos to you. Keep up the good work. And again, if there's anything else you'd like to tell us before we let you go,
any upcoming events or anything you would love to tell us.
Yeah, no, I think we covered the meat and potatoes of everything. Just where do you guys get your haircut?
I do mine myself. And it's the funny thing when we worked there, me and you, I remember Daryl had his hair cut, but I remember when me and you was there, at least we had a little bit receding back. But I cut mine a few years ago. So
three bald men that's pretty handsome here on the live right now. So again, we've been talking to Mr. Chad Grecsek. He is the Director of Sustainable Management with the City of Deerfield Beach. He was so kind to take some time out of his schedule to stop by and talk to us on the Adams Brothers podcast. And anytime you would like to come back and talk to us, you are more than welcome to. Just you send us a text, or I don't know. I believe you have our number.
Right, he got my number. I hope to see you at my dad's whenever they dedicate.
Oh yeah, let's talk before we go. They're going to be naming naming the building, Sustainable Management building after our dad, Bernard Adams. It's going to be sometime next year. We don't know the exact date, but of course, we'll let you know here on the Adams Brothers podcast. So we want to thank you and thank the city manager and the mayor and the commissioners. Thank you all for even, allowing my dad, because right now, you like you say, you're sitting in his old office right there, and that's where he retired from. So thank you all, man. We really appreciate that on behalf of our dad. And we're pretty sure he's watching, him and my mother, they're watching right now. So
how we doing, Bernard?
Yeah, he's watching.
He's probably watching right now. So
him and my family is watching.
So Mr. Chad Grecsek, thank you for stopping by and talking to us this evening. We appreciate all of your hard work and professionalism, and keep up the good work here with the city of Deerfield Beach, and keep making us taxpayers proud. And want to thank you and for stopping by.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Great seeing you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yes,
You're
we hope to
welcome.
see you
Great
at,
work.
at the dedication. We hope to see you again.
Oh, I hope I
then
see you
or
sooner than
before.
that. Yeah, definitely.
Right, right.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thanks again. Appreciate
All right,
it.
Chad.
Have
You
a
have
good
a
evening.
great evening.
You too.
Rebecca, you have a great evening too.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Good night, guys.
Okay.
Night, everybody. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.